From Cali to Tally, it's time to wake up. WarChant.com is your ultimate Seminole sports source, and this is Wake Up War Chant. Now here's WarChant.com's Aslan Hudjavandi and Corey Clark.
Wake up! What's up? We're here, Midtown offices. Both of us are here, Corey and myself. I'm Aslan. All right, I think I'm going to start making like a goal for each show that I'm going to have, like a personal goal.
Okay, all right.
Try to limit the use of the word like.
Okay.
I jumped into a certain part of the show yesterday when I was posting it. I must have said the word like around 30 times.
That's
like
weird because I don't feel like yesterday I even gave you the opportunity to say 30 words total.
Well, that's a good thing.
My girlfriend Stephanie said that she was listening to the show and she's like, "Wow, you talked a lot." She's like, "Way too much." I'm like, "Hey, calm down now. I'm the bread and butter."
Yeah.
And she goes, "No." I kept wanting Aslan to like cut you off and ask you if you were going to stop talking. It's like, all right, that's not nice.
No.
But yeah, so I would like to apologize to the listeners. It's my first time to really talk about it. It's a lot of processing, and I kind of talk out my thoughts. So that's what that nonsense rambling was yesterday.
Yeah, and I rambled on something too about the fan base and how crazy it is. What's interesting to me is I think the people who are like, I said like right there, the people who want Willie gone already, that's pretty impractical. That's not a very...
Right. Yeah, I mean, it's not happening.
Yeah.
So it's odd to like, okay, we're never going to win with this guy. I mean, I get it, but what's the end game there? You're going to, every game they lose for the next 2.5 years, you're just going to shout from the mountaintops that he's got to leave? Right. I mean, you've already established what you think, but it's not happening.
Right. Not happening next year either, it sounds like, according to Gene Williams' 5 takes.
I couldn't imagine a guy would get 2 years. I just couldn't imagine that.
But there's also a significant part of the fan. I don't know, maybe significant's not the right word, but there's a good part of the fan base, just judging again by warchant.com. Use the promo code warchant30, get you 30 free days, and then become part of the family for life. They're just hell-bent on finding every thread that there's some sort of negative criticism of Willie Taggart and going in there and trying to clean it up. Can we not just – I think there's certain people want to project to the future. We've talked about many coaches before that struggled in their first season and have turned things around. I don't know how much of it is the internet sort of Twitter goal of wanting to be the right guy and then being able to retweet yourself and showing that, hey, I was right, I called my shot. This team right now is not playing very well. I know you can say they quit, and that's a problem of Jimbo that he inherited, or the game was already out of control before they quit. Who knows? But why can't we just talk about this team in the now? I mean, do we have to look at this team and talk about the future as in 12 months from now? I mean, can we not just look at this team right now and talk about what it looks like and why it looks like what it looks like?
I mean, you can, but that's not when Florida
State. Is that bad radio, or is that
but also
what people want to hear?
Florida State's dealt with this twice in the last 4.5 decades. They've had to deal with a new coach, and I think this is just part of when you're not used to it. You're not. Just name a school, Tennessee, that's used to having a new coach every 3 years. Florida State fans aren't used to this, so it makes sense that they're projecting. Okay, what's this going to look like? And it also makes sense, quite frankly, that it's a doomsday scenario in a lot of people's minds because you just lost by more than any team has ever lost in Florida State history. And there have been some bad Florida State football teams. Lee Corso never lost by 49 points. So I get why there's that projection. Florida State fans aren't used to this. They're not used to kind of, living in the moment and they're not used to new coaches, period. So they don't know how to just look at it in a vacuum of what he's got this season, this team, this week. It's all like, man, what are we – because at Florida State, man, it's about national championships. And so rightly, I think, people are wondering, okay, is this guy going to be able to turn us into a national title contender? So I think that's maybe where it comes from. This isn't a fan base that is used to this. It's not an NFL fan base. All NFL fan bases, except for the Patriots and Steelers, are used to new coaches every 4, 5, 6 years. So – it's going to be an interesting ride, man, because I don't think anybody's going to feel great about this season after it's over. How could you? No matter how unless they win the next 4. But
beat the Gators again. I think if you beat the Gators, no matter what happens, I still think you can cling on to that. You can hold on to that for a good bit.
But there's going to be a lot of hesitancy, trepidation, uncertainty about this guy in the offseason, no matter how the next 4 games play out. And I think that's warranted because we all get what he's limited with as far as the roster makeup, a certain position group that we've harped on forever. There's some challenges, but it doesn't mean it has to look like that. And so there's the rub. So it's a weird thing to argue because I argue with myself. Mm-hmm. I assume most fans do. Most rational fans realize, all right, 8 games is way too short a sample size to be judging an entire tenure. If you did that with this coach, that coach, you look like a fool. Mm-hmm. We all get that. But at the same time, nobody's used to what we saw on Saturday. That was a complete embarrassment on every level. And when those happen, people have reckonings within themselves of what they expect this guy to do, what they think he can do.
How much apples to oranges, and we'll get to talking about the Monday press conference and what we kind of maybe hope to glean when we speak to Walt Bell later on Tuesday. How much of apples to oranges is it the fact that, okay, there was a bad culture here. Jimbo sowed these seeds, left, bailed, whatever you want to call it. But this team looked so much better with an interim coach like Odell. And I'm not trying to advocate here on the behalf of Odell. But if there was bad apples, if there was bad culture, would this team not just rolled over and played dead the rest of 17 when Jim – and I know those weren't really great teams.
Right.
But this 2018 team has not looked has not looked as good on offense at any point than they did against like Louisiana Monroe and Southern Miss in those 2 last games that Odell had. That's where I was coming from in terms of I thought that, okay, Jimbo's message had run stale. Players were sick of him. They didn't maybe respect him anymore, what have you. So this guy was going to come in, fresh message. These guys were going to buy in from the jump. And again, you don't need 85 guys to buy in. He's even said as much. Well, in terms of not everybody quit.
Right.
Majority of the kids didn't quit. Well, then how many of these 8? Well, then I don't know. Like we got 50 guys that are going to play hard. Then why you've not been able to identify these 50 guys and have them be the ones on the field and have them play hard for you the whole time? That to me is a little bit concerning. But I just feel like if this culture thing is such a deep seated, this thing is like a dry rot, just a bad situation all the way around. Well, then why wasn't that not just a complete disaster the entire time in 17, even after Fisher left? Like it seemed like Odell got these kids to buy into something. And I know there's system changes in terms of learning offense and whatnot, but this team looked completely different. They played with such more verve when he left. And we haven't seen anything like that.
You can say that it's Louisiana Monroe and Southern Miss, and we get that, but at the same time,
Sanford, Northern
Illinois, Syracuse, I mean, these aren't great defenses by any stretch. And you've looked – man, I don't know. I think that the way last year ended, it was like when Jimbo left after it was a dark period with the call-in show and the challenging the guy to the fight and going to miss a bowl and all that stuff. I think when he left, it was just like a breath of, whew, let's just play for each other. Let's just go have fun. Mm-hmm. I really do think that. Let's just go have fun. Let's go play for Coach O. And let's did they call him Coach O?
Yeah, he's called Odell.
Odell, yeah. He's not
like a Brazilian soccer player.
Yeah, just the first name only.
Yeah.
So I think that's part of what that last year was. And also, they were still running the same offense. They weren't completely flipping it. If Odell had tried to bring in, the Gulf, what is it called? What is he?
Gulf Coast offense.
Gulf Coast offense.
But if I open up a new dry cleaner spot, Corey, and I call it Jiffy Cleaners, and you drop your dry cleaning off to me today, and I'm like, all right, it'll be ready on Friday. I'm going to be out of business pretty quickly. I'm calling myself fast. Like I'm going to turn things around quickly.
Right.
Not that he's saying he's going to turn things around quickly, but at least the offense. At least it was going to be.
Yeah.
These are the things that are hard to reconcile. I'm not trying to make long-term projections on it, but it's curious to me to see the argument between he's horrible and shut up and give him all the time in the world he needs.
I think what you have to look for when you start judging him is there's going to be losses in the next couple of years, quite obviously. Mm-hmm. Where is this program going to be in 2020? I mean, what can you think? How can you look at what we've seen this year from this offense in particular? And think 2019 is when it turns around.
Right.
Either you're playing a guy that just doesn't run the offense real well at quarterback, or you're playing a brand new guy who those are going to be some growing pains, obviously, and you're not going to have – you should have a better line, you hope, but how much better? What can you really hope for in year 2? So what you start thinking about is year 3. And is that the year where and I hate, you obviously don't want to do that. You don't want to, hey, in 2020, we're going to be awesome. That's not how you run a program. He's trying to be awesome this week. But there's nothing we've seen through 8 games, really, that should give you any hope that this offense is going to be even okay next year. Even when they all come, I don't know what they can do. Maybe in offseason, they can work on their warts, figure them out, figure out more of an identity of what they can be, what they can run, what they can't, who needs to be at running back, who needs to be at quarterback, all that stuff. Because none of them are good. Cam Akers was abysmal Saturday and hasn't really been good all year. Patrick just doesn't fit this offense. Not with this offensive line. If he had a good offensive line, I think it'd be great. Because I think you'd get him going downhill where you actually have a hole, he could get some speed going, but he doesn't. So that when you judge what Willie Taggart's going to be, man, I just don't see it turning around and being even. I don't see a 10-win team coming next year. Schedule will probably ease up a little bit, but I don't see a 10-win team. I just don't see how that's going to happen. So that's, to me, the culture thing is number one. Obviously, you got to either get that, you got to get it out of the program. But number 2 is the offense. Figure it out, man. This is an abomination. And I think what we lost sight of last year is how bad it was last year. Going into this year is how bad it was last year. It was bad last year, like really bad. I don't think they scored 30 points against a Division I team all year. And that's not Florida State, not scoring 30 points
But the biggest problem is gone. Jimbo, right? Jimbo, the guy who sowed all these seeds, and he's gone. He's no longer here. The guy who wreaked the havoc on this program. And I'm not saying it's fair to have
I don't know that people thought he was the biggest problem.
I think a lot of people did.
I think what the guy he chose.
Well, the people who are arguing now on Willie's behalf vehemently on message boards and Twitter.
But I think they blame Jimbo more for the entitlement within the program, the players that are here, their attitudes. I think they blame him for that. The offense. I guess ultimately it falls at the feet of Jimbo because he hired who he hired and he kept who he hired, and he recruited who he recruited. But I think everybody knows that Jimbo's a pretty good offensive coordinator. He's not great, but he's pretty good, and he's never. But last year's offense, I guess what I'm saying is, it was all the same players from last year without Auden Tate, who led you in touchdowns. So maybe we were naive to expect some huge turnaround. Maybe these guys just aren't very good. Maybe Tamorian Terry is the only guy on this starting 11 offense that will play on Sundays.
It's very likely.
McKinney maybe with the chance. I don't know. He's got to learn to not get pushed on his 5 yards back on the first play of the game. So when you look at that, you're like, okay, the players aren't great, obviously, and Willie Taggart is doing no favors by the way he's installed this offense and the way he continues to try to establish whatever he's trying to establish.
That's supposed to be my alarm. It's going off. I don't know. I won't be quiet.
We started this early, guys. I got over here at 4:45 in the morning after my run, because I can't sleep after I run. All those endorphins. So I just figured let's knock it out.
For sure.
You don't usually get up until 5:15, so I woke you up a little early.
Yeah, I don't even know where I'm really going with this segment. I didn't want to relitigate. It's just it's crazy to see this. I feel it's tough to be a fan right now and just look at this and assess it for what it is, and they're just not a very good football team right now. But people feel the need to either say, well, it's a terrible football team, let's end it right now. And there's people that are saying, what did you expect? Shut up, give them plenty of time.
But I agree with the whole give them time. I don't agree with the mindset of what did you expect. Nobody expected this. Nobody expected one of the worst offenses in the country in 59-10. Nobody, or barely beating Samford. That wasn't even on the table. Scoring 7 against Syracuse. That none of that was on the table. So there can be two competing thoughts, and both people can be right. Like I agree, and again I talk about having arguments myself. I agree that, man, he had a bit of a mess, and it wasn't going to be. We were all too pie in the sky when the season started, obviously. But at the same time,
he's also admitted that he thought this was not going to be that tough.
Sure,
he said it on Monday.
Of course he did. And he was really confident in August, and no matter what things you can point blame and point fingers to, there's no excuse for at Florida State to be an offense this bad. But again, to counter that, it was really bad last year. It's not like he took an offense that was 18th in the country and turned it into 118.
Right.
Like they were really, they got really pumped up at the end with Delaware State, Louisiana Monroe, and Southern Miss. When they played the Power 5 schools, they were not good at all. They would score 20 points a game. They were still better than this, but not much better.
Did we not put 30 on Florida?
I think it was 28 to something, maybe.
Yeah. Well, Florida also didn't go to a bowl game last year, so I guess you really can't, brag too much about it. But that goes up to a whole nother sort of argument about beating rivals when they're down and whatnot.
So I think we just we didn't put enough stock into how bad that offense was last year, and I think we put too much stock into what DeAndre would mean. And I just I don't think there's a chance. And Willie said on Monday that. I mean, the way he was talking, there's certainly a chance that
James put 38-22.
On
Sorry.
Florida?
Yeah.
Oh, all right. Yeah. Good job. No. Well,
one of
them was a pick six. Yeah, and then Matthew Thomas should have been 2, but my man dove and celebrated at the 1. They scored on that one anyway. But I don't know. I don't want to put Taggart just doesn't get a pass because he took over a bad locker room.
Fair.
You don't just get a pass because it was a bad locker room. You're still supposed to coach. And you don't just say, 59-10, my guys quit. Trying to change the culture.
Was it Clemson's guys quit in 13?
I thought in the third quarter of that game, yeah. And I especially thought the offense did. Like they stopped blocking for him. He stopped trying. I thought Taj Boyd just was like, man, let me get off this field. I mean, I do think that. But
I don't want to say Willie's deflecting, but I feel like top 10, top 15 programs in this nation, down 42, 49-0 at home, probably would quit. Well, probably a couple guys would quit on a team.
I don't know that they get down like that, though. That's the issue, right?
But did they get down like that because they quit? Were they down 20-0 at half because they quit?
No, man, I really do think. That roughing the kicker penalty
was everything?
Sapped them. Just sapped them of everything. And that's a mentally weak team. That, oh, God, we were in this game, and then he did that. We're going to have trouble scoring. They immediately punt or do something on the next. Obviously punted probably if we're going by the odds, and then it's 14. And then the defense was like, well, this is done. We're over. And so, I think that one penalty. By the way, he was asked about that, and Ira asked in a very diplomatic way, was it a field goal block, or was that a kid doing that on his own? And he said, yeah, that was a freshman mistake. That he was not supposed to be charging at the kicker like that.
Well, I don't know. How do you do that? How do you tell the kid to play in the middle on that? Like, go for the block, but don't really go for the block.
No, you don't go for the block at all.
Yeah.
It's field goal safe. That's what you're doing. That's what you call.
That's a tough thing. All right, let's step aside. Let's reset. We'll come back and talk about, I guess, just things here in the now and get less philosophical and more about nuts and bolts. We'll do that right after this. It's Wake Up War Chant.
You're listening to Wake Up War Chant, all Noles, every day. Now back to Corey and Aslan.
Welcome back. It's Wake Up War Chant. Corey Clark, senior writer. Myself, Aslan Hajavani, director of digital media for WarChant.com. NC State week. Big week. 4 games left.
Huge week.
Got to start getting some W's out there. House of Horrors, though, right? House of Horrors, Carter family. Never been. This will be my first time. I think I'm going to go.
Okay, good, man. Yeah. It's Florida State never wins comfortably there.
When did it happen? When did it first happen? Was it like Winky?
I think it's
year?
all the whole time. Like other than like 96, I think 96 and 2000, maybe 90. Charlie's first year up there. Yeah. So in the 90s, obviously, I think the last 20
years. So it's
years.
the turn of the millennium, though.
So 98 they lost up there
right,
with the
Winky.
6 picks, and then I think 2000 they won comfortably there. Phillip Rivers' freshman year, he didn't want any part of that defense.
Nope.
And then after that, it's been loss. I think they won on a Gano
No, we won like in 04, did we not? I feel like there was a
Billy Sexton won Sexton won like 10-7
or something.
Yeah, they had like 70 yards of offense.
Yeah.
But it was a close game in the fourth quarter, even though it was a bad NC State team. Then 08, I think they won when Gano kicked like a 53-yarder to put them up 9. 2010 they lost on the Ty Jones Ponder fumble. 2012, don't even remind you.
Right.
2014, I think they got down 21-3 or 28-3 or some 28-7, and Jameis brought them back. And then 16, the kid dropped the interception in the end zone, and then Francois beat him on the next play. So it's never easy up there.
Why is that, though? It's like the staffs have constantly changed on both sides of the
I
ball.
don't know.
One of those
Tough
weird
place
things,
to
right?
play, man. Tough place to play.
All right, so we're probably not going to get a depth chart until maybe Thursday, I think. Usually they kind of sneak the depth chart to us, and they give us Willie's press conference transcribed out from Monday, like on a Thursday, and usually on that email they'll also have like a depth chart attached to it. So we got to be on the lookout for that. We do know that the changes that we're going to see immediately, and I mean, Naquan and Zaquandre, who are both ejected for throwing punches, are going to be suspended for one half of a game, the opening half against NC State. That doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to be back in the game in the second half, but if he wants to go to them, he can take his self-imposed ban of them off.
Good for him, by the way. Could have been more.
Yeah.
Could have been more, but I mean, that's enough, especially for a guy that starts like Nooney to miss an entire half. Self-imposed. It's not the ACC making him do it. It's Willie Taggart making him do it. And those are serious repercussions, man. You only got 4 games left, and you're going to miss an entire half. Good.
Especially if you're Nooney or a senior, this is it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Good.
Yeah. You want to play in the Senior Bowl, you're probably going to end up in the Shrine Bowl if you don't turn things around here. If you're Nooney,
right?
Or some sort of other random NFLPA game. Those guys always end up going somewhere big. DeAndre, day-to-day, as he said, really didn't give us any sort of specified thing, just said he kind of got beat up. Did say the quarterback's going to have to play or practice to be able to play. Did you take anything? Do you think he's leaning one way or the other on that? Or
Well, I mean, if he was going to set up that Blackman was going to play, that he did it today. I mean, he did it on Monday for sure. Yeah, he laid the groundwork for it. We talked about it. I mean, will they be any better with Blackman? Could they be worse? I mean, that's the question.
Are they likely?
I mean, I guess turnovers.
They're more likely to be better than worse because the bar is so low, I would think.
Well, but then turnovers. Like DeAndre doesn't make critical, awful turnovers, save for 2 in a row against Miami, typically, until the game's out of reach anyway. Blackman can give them points, and that could really hurt. You never know. But again, I don't think the quarterback of this offense is on the roster. I just don't. Francois can't move. Blackman is probably at this point more mobile than Francois, but he's not as good a thrower in my opinion.
How much of it are you going off the fact that if Blackman has not surpassed Francois at this point, then clearly he can't be the solution?
Right, yeah. It's the whole thing after when he laughed off the question after the Miami game. It's like, well, okay, that tells you everything you need to know about where Blackman is. So I think Willie wants DeAndre to play. I just, again, when you start thinking about 2019, maybe something can click. Maybe an off season and the new strength and conditioning coaching staff under their tutelage, Francois can figure out where the mobility is and find it and be a running threat. Because again, otherwise this offense ain't going to do anything with that offensive line.
This is rhetorical, and I'll pivot to something else. But just like what, a true freshman's going to come in and be better in this offense than a guy who's played college football for 4 years? Like that's hard for me to believe.
It could be though, right? I mean that happens.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean it could be that
It was rhetorical. People don't want to put a lot of stock in how James did in the limited reps against Clemson. He was going against their 3rd or 4th string guys. But I feel like I remember 2 plays. Obviously, the touchdown he threw to Keyshawn Helton, but he also threw, I think, a screen pass. I don't even know what it went for. But those screen passes,
he got it out quick.
It's not even so much
and he got it where he's turned towards the defense.
Like you need to look when you're playing in this kind of offense. I feel like you need to look like you've had 4 cups of coffee. Like you have to have like a sort of jitter to you, like a buzz around you. Like when you grab the ball, you're always humming along. You're moving. With DeAndre, it's always so deliberate. Just grabs the ball, boom. With James, with the screen passes too, like if you throw the ball too high, that play is done. The play is done from the jump. Right. If you want to be, and I know I'm not saying James Blackman is some sort of pinpoint accurate guy, and DeAndre isn't, but at least on one throw that I've seen James Blackman do on a screen pass, he threw a strike more so than I've seen DeAndre throw in that game. That horizontal east-west pass game, if you throw it a little bit behind your guy, if you throw a little bit too low to your guy, if you throw a little bit too high to your guy, those plays are done. Which is crazy because everyone sells the fact of running the offenses that way with the bubble screens as it's just a long handoff. Well, it's a lot easier just to hand the ball off than it is to throw the ball 25 yards the other way and have to hit a really tight target so that everything is going well in the timing. He did that well, and the play to Keyshawn Helton, I mean, golly, he's got the same offensive line blocking for him, and it felt like he knew what was about to happen. Maybe he sat on that sideline enough. Maybe DeAndre is missing the forest or the trees or whatever, but James Blackman seemed to know this is kind of what happens. The tackles, there's pressure comes on.
Scooted up. Yeah.
And then not only did he scoot up, but he rolled. He threw that ball on the run. And again, I know it's a third or fourth string quarterback, but DeAndre hasn't shown anything like that. And I'm not trying to celebrate James Blackman's greatness or anything to that degree, but I don't like the fact. I think if it was at home, I think you go with Blackman. I think the fact that maybe it is on the road, you try to see if you can squeeze something more out of Francois. I think if this was the Boston College game, you're going to the Boston College game at home, and DeAndre had gotten beaten up or hurt and did not look good again. I think this would be a natural time to put in James Blackman, but maybe because it's a road game, he feels a little hesitant. But hey, man,
he played a whole year.
He played a whole year. So
I don't think that would be part of Willie's thinking. I just think it'd be if Francois can go, then he wants to go with the starter because he obviously thinks Francois is better than Blackman by a good percentage. Man, you could almost, to me anyway, you could use these last 4 games as a Blackman audition. Because, again, Francois has had some nice moments. When he gets time to throw, he can put it on him. He's a good quarterback when he has time to throw. He's not a good fit for this offense. And that's not his fault. He didn't come here to play this offense. He certainly didn't help recruit these offensive linemen. That's not his fault, but sometimes you just got to go with a different person because it fits him a little better. Maybe it fits Blackman better. I don't know. But it almost – you say, yeah, I said it could be worse because the turnovers. But other than that, you literally almost can't get worse than Florida State. I don't know where they rank in the country, but there can't be more than 2 or 3 Power 5 schools in the nation that have a worse statistical offense than them right now. So what do you have to lose?
I wonder. The thing with Blackman is he's only got one more game he can play and still preserve a red shirt.
Right.
And I don't know if Willie's trying to maybe do him a favor and kind of quietly tell him that he doesn't think it's going to work here, and that's why he doesn't want to burn the kid's red shirt so that the kid can leave at the end of the year.
Yeah, not get and still have the year available to transfer. Yeah, maybe. Part of you, with the offense, this is. I don't think this is rhetorical. It might be, but go ahead and answer it, even if it sounds like a rhetorical question. If DJ Matthews had taken every snap at quarterback this year,
right?
Would it be would they have scored more points against Clemson if DJ Matthews took every snap?
Man, I thought you were
they scored
what
3.
would their record be? We had a pretty. DeAndre put him on the back in the Samford game. He played like a quarterback.
But maybe you don't have to.
Right.
If they didn't score for the whole second half until the last drive of the game. In same thing with he had nice moments against Louisville, but maybe you're not having to. Maybe you're not down. Maybe you not having only scored one time against that awful defense in the first half. If you have a guy that can keep the ball, that's an actual threat running the ball. You know what Malzahn will probably be fired at the end of this year or maybe next year. Who knows? The crazy thing about Gus Malzahn is I looked. The only reason I know is because it looked for a while in 2013 that they were going to have 3 1,000-yard receivers, and so I was kind of looking it up. The last time that had happened, had that ever happened before?
Florida State, not Auburn, right?
Florida State, yeah. Sorry, Florida State looked like they were going to have 3 1,000-yard receivers. I think Kenny Shaw came up just short. So I was looking it up to see if anybody else had done that ever, and I think it had been done a handful of times. But the last team to do it was Tulsa, when Gus Malzahn was their head coach. And then,
OC. I don't think he was ever.
OC. Sorry, yeah, he was. But that was his offense.
Yeah,
he had 3 1,000-yard receivers, and then he gets to Auburn, and it's essentially a rushing attack. And he had like 2,000-yard rushers. It's like you can adapt. That's the beauty of some of these offenses. You can adapt and concentrate on what you do well. This offense will never work, in my opinion, if it's a throw first. And I mean work it can work from game to game. And I know I've said it gives them the best chance to win this year, and it does because they simply can't run the ball. But he needs to be able to run the ball.
Every offense needs to be able to run the ball.
But specifically this one, this is what he does. Again, the last 3 years, it was like 12th in the nation in rushing offense, 5th, 11th. And then this year, they're 120th. He doesn't know how to adjust to not being able to run the ball. Well, if you had a quarterback that could run, maybe we'd see what Willie thinks what it's supposed to look like. Of course, then you couldn't throw the ball. So I know I'm being facetious. Obviously, DJ Matthews isn't going to be the quarterback. But, man, there must be 40 high school quarterbacks in this country that are dynamic runners that can throw the ball a little bit. I'm even thinking about a flipping John Franklin, somebody that is an electric runner and can throw well enough. And maybe that's not the case with John Franklin, but there are better people than him out there. I don't know if the Sam Howell kid is that guy. I know he's pretty athletic, but I don't know if he's a guy that can run for 130 yards in a game.
Yeah,
I don't think he's Quentin Flowers.
No. That's the whole problem I see with like 19 coming up. I find it hard to believe that he'll come in here and just blow the doors off DeAndre. And then I go back to. But
if he can make the right reads, at least.
Yeah.
Maybe he doesn't turn the quarterback keeper into a 45-yard run, but it's a 14-yard run, and he keeps the chains moving, and he knows when to give it and when to pull it, and he knows when to pull it out and throw it out wide. If that makes sense to him, it would be better than what we've seen this year.
Another thing I want to throw out there rhetorically, then we'll pause. Or maybe
Man, so many rhetorical questions.
Yeah, I know, and it's a radio show. We want to talk and answer things. How much of it is throwing James Blackman out there to almost, I don't know, that proved to yourself, but the fan base as well, that this offense can look a little bit better? Because if you throw Blackman out there and it still looks bad, then I guess you can still insulate yourself with the fact that we still have the same offensive line. We still have the same skill position guys who are letting me down. That's why these things aren't working. But if you put Blackman in there and things spark and look better, you're like, hey, see everybody, just calm down. Okay, maybe it took me a few weeks to put the right guy in there, but if we get a guy in here who has a little bit better feel for things, this offense will work. But I'm not.
Yeah, but then you have to say Blackman did start and they score 45 points. Like, well, what were you doing these last 8 weeks, man? I don't know if that'd be a great look either. He might, even if they're up 38-6 on NC State in the third quarter, he'd have to tell James, look, I need an interception right here, man. I need a fumble. Logan Tyler needs some punts.
Balance the scales.
We can't make it look like I've made a horrible mistake for the last 2 months, and I should have been playing you. You'd be in the Heisman race right now. But yeah, that's obviously that's probably not going to happen.
I think it's time, though. I think you called for a little bit earlier, and at least in terms of there needs to be serious discussion about it. I'm like, I don't think you go to James at this point because I don't think his skill set is necessarily going to be any better fit. But I think at this point, and the Clemson game isn't all DeAndre's fault. Obviously, you don't lose 59-10 because of one guy.
And he made throws there in that game early.
Yeah, but
he certainly couldn't stem the tide, and he couldn't make the throws that had to be made. A lot of that, again, we get it. We know the deficiencies. But, yeah, man, I think we've seen enough. I think DeAndre Francois was much better in Jimbo's system.
Yeah.
I think that's fair to say. I think he ran it better. He's a better passer. He just does not run this well at all. At all. And, we gonna watch this for another 16 games?
That's a good rhetorical question. We'll be right back after this. It's Wake Up War Chant.
WarChant.com is the ultimate inside source for FSU football and recruiting. And now you can get in on the action for free for an entire month. WarChant.com is offering a risk-free 30-day trial subscription. Get full access to the #1 website covering the Seminoles just by entering the promo code WarChant30. That's WarChant30. Sign up and get in on the world's most active FSU message boards. Receive breaking news, stories from our award-winning staff, plus get exclusive interviews and videos. Just enter the promo code WarChant30. WarChant.com, your ultimate Seminole sports source.
She want it. I want to give it to her. She know that.
I saw this on Sunday night, Corey. I didn't talk about it on the Monday program. I don't know if you saw this either. Apparently, Marvin Wilson's mom tweeted something that was a little bit.
Uh-oh. Come on, Marvin.
Well, she retweeted our tweet, which is cool. She didn't retweet anybody. She went right to warchant.com. It was the post-game press conference from Willie, and we had titled the tweet. We gave it was Willie talking about players quitting during the game. That can't be tolerated. One thing you can't do, you can't quit. And then Marvin, who I'm assuming this is Marvin Wilson's mother, looked at her bio, says FSU mom, and then it's got Marvin's jersey as her header photo, and people have identified her as
No, it could be Logan Tyler's mom.
Could be.
Okay.
Could be. She replied to the tweet with, "Players can only be as good as their leader." It's right there if you want to look at it. It's a radio show. It doesn't help the people at home. That was a little bit But Marvin seems to be in the good graces of Willie Taggart, though. He's the prototype of what Willie needs to get this thing turned around. Players like that. He pointed that out on Monday. So
he did, yeah. And how could you not, man? That kid plays hard. all the time. Really intelligent. He's a good ambassador for the university. I think when it comes to parents, yeah, man, she didn't send her kid all the way from Texas. He could have gone anywhere in the country. She sent him to go play for a coach that isn't there anymore. And now they're losing 59-10. I get why a parent would be like, what in the world is going on? What are you doing? And why there would be some trepidation with where the program's headed. But, yeah, Willie Taggart really likes Marvin, and he should, because he needs a lot more like that, physically and mentally, a guy that will just keep playing hard and try to dominate even as his team is getting dominated.
People on War Chant float out the idea there that she's not talking about the coach. She could be talking about team leaders.
Could be, too. That's true, too. I think Marvin Wilson needs to be the leader. I mean, I think he's a guy that lead by example, lead by words. I mean, you're the biggest dude on the team besides Cooper. Man, lead. They'll follow you, man, because you're a badass and you're good and you try hard and they know it. So follow that guy. And I thought Willie, on Monday, he kind of reiterated a lot of the same stuff he said on Saturday. It obviously wasn't as irate as he was after the game. He had a chance to cool down. And he made sure to point out that it wasn't the whole team, just a handful of guys. And, again, as I said yesterday, you get to do that once. So, it's been 3 days now. Sure, you're still talking about Clemson. But no more losses for the rest of your time here, really. Do you get to blame the former staff? You just don't get to do that anymore.
I was joking with one of the guys from TV in the back row. I'm like, I think he's going to walk it back. I really thought he was going to walk it back on Monday, the whole quit comment. And he's like, and he was introduced, Coach's got an opening statement. And he talked about after watching the film and watching some other teams play across the nation, I'm like, he's going to walk it back. He's going to say I was too strong in my words.
Right.
But he didn't. But to your point, that's another – I don't think he can go down that road again.
Not as long, not with
really,
your offense looking like that, and not when you just got 16 penalties. It's just not the time for it. Some of those are just dumb plays by your players that don't think, that aren't in actually thinking about what they're doing. But again, that all falls at the feet of the coach and the coaching staff. 16 penalties is on the staff.
That's a lot of penalties.
That's a crazy amount of penalties. And of course, Florida State's always been a pretty highly penalized team, but nothing excuses 16, and nothing excuses so many false starts and lining up incorrectly. Get that stuff organized, man.
Do you think personnel wise? I don't know if I want to put a number or an adjective on it, but after those comments he makes on Saturday and kind of reiterates them on Monday, what sort of changes do you expect in terms of reps given out to certain players?
I think young receivers will play more. I don't know what you can do with the offensive line. You just got the bodies that you got. We'll see at quarterback, and we'll see at running back. The problem is, it really hurts this team that LeBourne's not on the team. I think that guy would be starting. I just do. Yeah. I think he's a really good fit for this offense. I don't think Cam. You were hoping the weight game was like his coming out, and it just wasn't. I mean, I know.
We tried to will that to being a break.
Yeah, we did. It ended up just being one run. But, yeah, man, he falling on dropping the ball on the ground, dropping passes, not really making any plays of note. So, but I don't know what change you can make at running back. I think you can make changes in your secondary. If you want to just say, look, we're riding and dying with our freshmen. Bolden plays more.
He's out of the sling, so he might be able to come back. But
Litton and Samuel play more. And just, I don't know, do you have any safeties that you can play? I don't know. Linebackers, switch it up if you have to. I don't know. Play some of your young defensive linemen if you have to. If you can't, if the guys on the other side behind Burns always plays hard. The other guys on the other end, they just don't do anything. So start playing other guys there too. I don't know. It can't. There's just not a lot of options. It's not like he can just bring in a whole new 11.
Yeah.
So I think you'll see young receivers playing more. Will probably be the biggest thing we see on Saturday, and except for maybe quarterback. But I also think those two corners, the freshman corners, let them grow up, get them in the fire. They're obviously not redshirting, and Litton made a great play on that interception. And I think Asante Samuel is going to be really good. Taj Boyd actually tweeted him. Did you see that?
No.
I think it might have been after the roughing the kicker, but he tweeted at him. I think he tweeted at him and said, "This guy's going to be a stud." This guy's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
Talking about Asante Samuel. So that's cool. And I think he's going to be good.
I do too. There was one play where he got beat, made up ground, got beat again, and still somehow
he fell down
yeah.
and then got back up. And, again, that's the kind of stuff you can be and now he also gave up a long touchdown because instead of tackling, he was trying to rip the ball out.
Yeah.
That's a freshman thing along with the roughing the kicker. But when you look at somebody's competitive spirit, man, I think he was throwing up to T. Higgins. Yeah. Another just jump ball to T. Higgins in the end zone. Asante Samuel had kind of gotten beaten, caught back up, then fell down. And right then, I think there have been some Florida State players in the past like, oh, man, touchdown. Yeah. He hops back up and bats the ball away. And then you have Litton on the other side in a 59-3 game, ripping a touchdown away from a kid and intercepting it in the back of the end zone. Those are things you can build on. I don't know that they're as good as Myers and Levante yet. But if you're looking at 2019 and 2020, you got to do what's best for the future of your program. And it might be playing those guys more. Especially, I don't think anybody was happy with the way Taylor handled getting beat for that long touchdown. I know he's got a hammy, but it looked like he made sure to let everybody know he had a hammy as soon as he was beat.
Yeah, Ira observed Zaquandre maybe chirping at Levante, and they kind of had to be separated.
Yeah,
after that happened.
Yeah, with 27, I don't know what his future will be at this program, but he's got to dial that down some. Yeah. I get it. I mean, I get that he was angry, but again, he also was at 30 minutes later he threw a punch and got himself ejected. So,
has there ever been a player that most everybody has tabbed as he's done after year 3, come into his season and not gone to the pros? Like, is Levante at a point now where maybe he can't afford to leave it? He has to get new tape.
No, I mean, recently, no. I mean, McFadden, nobody had worse tape than McFadden last year, and he still left. Yeah. Obviously, back in the day, not many people went pro after 3 years, so there's plenty. But in recent Florida State history,
like PJ and Darby, they were everyone kept talking about how awesome they were, and then 14 came and went, they left, and everything worked out pretty well.
When it comes to DBs, man, no, I can't think of any of them. I mean, those two left, Xavier Rhodes left, Jalen left, Derwin left, McFadden left.
And let's be honest, Jalen and Derwin did not have as good of final seasons for Florida State, I think, as most people had anticipated. Now, they had first-round grade attached to them.
I wouldn't throw Jalen into that. I thought Jalen was really good.
Jalen helped carry.
He's just a
15.
Corner. Yeah, he was a corner that didn't get a lot of interceptions, but I think his whole physicality really kind of set a mindset for that defense. So, yeah, we're at where we're at, man. We're at where we're at.
What do you think about that pumpkin out front?
I liked it, man. I liked it. It was scary.
Do you know what it's supposed to be?
Yeah. Well, is it supposed to be something?
Yeah.
What?
And the worst thing is I kind of stenciled it out. I do it for the girlfriend. She wanted.
Did she help?
Well, she emotionally didn't let me go off a deep end. She kept lying to me. Oh, it doesn't look that bad. I'm like, it looks terrible. It's supposed to be a cat on a branch. Kind of looks like an iguana. Kind of like a kangaroo.
Yeah.
A mountain lion.
I thought you just really screwed up the eyes. You had just somehow you were drunk or something, and you really carved it up terribly.
Yeah.
So it's a cat on a hot tin roof. Is that what you said? On
a branch with a moon in the background.
Oh. Yeah. Really? Do you do that kind of stuff?
Well, I've never done this before. I've never had a girlfriend. During Halloween. Actually, when I did have.
So you've never carved a.
Never carved a pumpkin ever before in my life. Guys, if you've never done this before, I guess the one thing I would, and I asked my friends, I'm like, how do I do this? Like, dude, just cut a hole in the top, empty it out, and you just trace something and cut it. Like, all right, easy enough. Dude, it's
you got to be a surgeon.
Kind of. You really have to thin it out, though, because I just think like a pumpkin's only maybe like inch and a half thick, but I think it's like 2 to 3 inches thick, and it says in the instructions to make sure you thin it out.
How do you thin it out? With like sandpaper?
She actually bought me this like a tool kit, a carving kit. Yeah, she set her man up for success, and
you still failed.
I still failed.
Holy moly, you don't handle adversity well.
Meanwhile, she baked me an apple crisp pie.
Wow, man, y'all are like domesticated. This is a love story for the ages.
Right, yeah.
Pumpkins being carved.
It is.
Apple pies being baked. By the way, do you agree with my theory that people that get too much into Halloween, and we all know them, that like celebrate the whole month and decorate their houses like it's a real haunted house. Yeah. To a person, they're weirdos, right? You've never met like a straight up normal person that just loves Halloween.
One of my good friends, his mom threw awesome Halloween parties, and she would deck the house out. And I love her. She's a good woman.
Little weirdo though.
No.
But also she's
Still
hosting,
loose.
but she's hosting parties, right?
Right, correct.
I'm talking about the people that make their yards look like graveyards. You can tell they've been waiting all year to decorate for Halloween. And but you see them around. You've seen those. What would you think those people? They veer towards the weird side, right? Which is cool. We all have interests, man. I don't have a problem with it.
I think they're just way too suburbanized. Like they live and breathe every single holiday as a way to showcase their house and showcase their. There was another avenue I was going to go down, but I shouldn't go down that.
In my house, my neighborhood, my other house, my Buford, Georgia house.
The Georgia estate.
Man, there was a house at the end of the neighborhood that had a woman in the window. Like a creepy flipping woman in the window, and another girl sitting on the roof, like it was like looking like it was getting ready to jump. It's like what are y'all doing? Like there's 8-year-olds in this neighborhood, and Brady wouldn't want to drive down by the house because it's so flipping. It was scary, man. It was creepy. So I was just wondering, like, what are those people like the other 11 months? Just like rocking back and forth. Man, is it Halloween yet? Are we getting close to October? Got to get my dead girl on the window, looking like Saw.
Are you a big Christmas guy? You're not a big holiday. You don't strike me as any big holiday guy.
No, I mean I don't ever really decorate much. Yeah. I like Christmas.
I love Christmas. I don't even celebrate. My people don't even celebrate Christmas, but I love Christmas.
Yeah, Christmas is my favorite holiday. Yeah. If that's what you're asking me.
Yeah.
Besides Flag Day.
Well, Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving, yeah.
One friend always says Thanksgiving is the best because it's just about food, football, and family. He doesn't have to go to church for it.
Well, the food and football and family for sure. Food and football obviously being more important than the other one.
Sure.
But Christmas is a season. You know what I'm saying? You get 2 or 3 weeks of Christmas. Yeah. Thanksgiving's a day, and you're like, who's playing the late game?
Yeah.
Who's
playing the Cowboys?
That's really what Thanksgiving is.
Late game. Yeah.
We don't think about the Pilgrims and the. Do we call them Indians still?
Squanto. It's called Squanto.
Native Americans, Pilgrims and the Native Americans. We don't really celebrate that as much as we do. Who are the Lions and Cowboys playing? All right. Well, let's talk about holidays for the rest of the year. What are you doing for Halloween, by the way? You dressing up?
I don't know. She wants to do something on Wednesday, though. I told her I will because we're going to be going to Raleigh, so I'm not going to see her this weekend. So I'm like, all right, you get Wednesday. Figure out something.
You can dress up, though?
I asked her, I'm like, we're going to do costumes. She's like, are we going trick-or-treating? I'm like, I don't know. You said you want to do something on Halloween. I thought that meant we have to do some sort of couples costume. She's like, no, we'll just, either we'll do dinner or we'll just watch a scary movie or something.
You should go trick-or-treating.
I wonder if kids are going to – you think people come by the Midtown offices to trick-or-treat?
Probably, man, especially when they see that cool-ass pumpkin outside. They know there's candy in here.
Thanks for listening, folks. Catch up with you tomorrow.